So this all started on, let me look at the calendar here, Sunday, December 17th. That's when my daughter Megan woke up and we were going to go out that morning, and she felt tired and achy and she had a headache. I'm always really concerned when one of our kids gets sick, and this was no different. Felt very concerned, wondering what kind of virus she may have gotten, and hoping she would get over it soon, get over it right away. Thankfully, so many times our kids get sick one day and they're better the next day, and I'm always so thankful when that happens, and was hoping that, yeah, this would be something like that. Now, Megan almost never gets sick, so this was a bit of a surprise to see her sick that morning. She had a event the next day on Monday that she really wanted to go to, and we were really hoping that she might be better by the next day to be able to go to that. And it's always a big relief to see your kids or anyone that get sick and then get over it, and then, oh wow, thank the Lord, it wasn't anything serious, they're over it, it's behind. Because I've seen people, and seen like my kids get sick and it go on for a long time, with it being kind of a tough situation. So by the next day, Megan said she was better, and she went and had a great time with her friends and her sisters. But then by that evening, the weakness seemed to come back. We thought, oh no, she's relapsed. And by the next day, she was out of sorts again. By Tuesday, weak with a headache, loss of appetite, and that went on. By the third day of that, by Wednesday, I think she started taking, we started giving her something to help the headache go away. By that Thursday, I remember coming home and she was so much better in the evening, and that just lifted my spirits so much to see that. So that was the fourth day after the ordeal had started, and that was a good day. And when I saw her that evening and she was doing so well, she was happy and active and talkative, and good spirits. We had a very normal evening, and it was so nice, and I really felt like things were finally turning around for the better. But of course, that wasn't the end of it. And by the next day, the headache was still there, and we scheduled an appointment for her at a clinic to try to get some help, get some answers. And that appointment was on Sunday, Christmas Eve. So that was our first trip to see someone to try to get help for Megan, get a diagnosis, get some help. And they said that she had low blood pressure and low sodium, and they recommended drinking things with electrolytes like Gatorade, and Megan was feeling pretty good with that, and she was happy to get. We were all happy, and her too. Of course, that she was getting some help, getting some a way forward to getting better. Yeah, also during that time, I think it started Friday, she stopped reading because her eyes were giving her too much trouble. So anyhow, back to Sunday, she seemed to be doing good. We had a very nice Christmas Eve into Christmas morning. Really nice. She was doing very well. She was active. And we were all very happy, feeling positive about things. But she started having a hard time with the headache and the vision, and just feeling bad going into the afternoon of Christmas. And by the evening, we decided, we got to take her back to a clinic. We got to get some help with this. So Christmas night, the 25th, Monday, the 25th, we took her to an urgent care clinic, and they checked her out there. They did a CT scan, which we were very happy that they did, because we wanted to know what's going on. Could there be something really, really seriously wrong? And the CT scan came back clear. Nope, they didn't find anything. And I remember I was at home waiting to hear the results from my wife. She told me they did a CT scan. We'll know the results in 45 minutes or whatever. And I remember they're anxiously waiting. And the results came back. It's clear. And we were so relieved. And they didn't give a diagnosis, but, they talked about, low blood pressure, possibility of a tension headache, different kinds of things that can cause the ongoing headache and the eye problem. So, okay, there we were. Again, we got some help, got this clear CT scan, which we were really thankful for. And things didn't get better. The headache never went away. The headache only went away with pain medication. And as that went on, the kind of the premonitions, the weight, the heaviness of the situation, it got heavier and heavier and heavier. We saw, Megan was just having a tough time. She didn't want to use her eyes, didn't like moving around, noises and lights bothered her. It was, she would come in at night asking for pain medication because it would wear off, and she'd wake up with a headache in the night. And that when that's going on day after day, it's very alarming. And it seems like something serious, but we couldn't find out what it was. And we'd been to clinics twice by then, couldn't find out what it was. It wasn't stopping. Anyhow, skip ahead a little bit, or move more quickly through the following days after that. Another visit to a family practitioner and a visit with an ophthalmologist. Lots of advice, good people to talk to, but nothing conclusive. We talked to somebody who recommended a pediatrician for Megan, and she said, this guy's highly recommended. He's going to make sure he finds out what's wrong with your daughter. And so thankfully we got an appointment for a few days later. The appointment was Tuesday, January 2nd. So about 15 days after Megan's ordeal had begun, or 16 days, we had our appointment with the pediatrician downtown Houston. He couldn't find out what was wrong. He said, you need to get yourself to the Texas Children's Hospital, and they need to do tests, they need to do scans. And so Megan was admitted. They did tests, they did scans. By that evening, an MRI scan had shown a mass. And you've probably read these kinds of stories, and I know I sure had, and boy, and it is so true what people say about when you start hearing that really serious kind of news, how it hits you, how it affects your body, your conscience. It's like, I've heard it described as like electric shock with ice cold water, and that's accurate. I don't know what Megan felt as she found out about these things. She is so brave. She is so brave, and I'll be talking about her amazing attitude through this all as I talk in this video. Of course, for her parents, for myself, and Megan's mom, super tough. Probably maybe tougher on us emotionally than for her, as we found out about the health side of this. For Megan, very tough, knowing that, she couldn't use her eyes, that she was missing out on things she wanted to do. I think the seriousness of the results of these different tests and stuff maybe hit Megan's parents, hit us harder. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I just know that Megan has been so brave through this all and just really, really impressed me. Um, so yeah, that kind of news that hits you. It's like the ice water and electric shock, and can't sleep, can hardly think, just in great desperation for days already. By that time, for days up to that time, I had been crying and praying very desperately, calling to Jesus, saying, "Wake up, Jesus. Lord, save us or we perish," quoting the disciples in the boat with Jesus when Jesus is sleeping and they're caught in a storm and they think they're going to die, and they're saying, "Lord, wake up and save us." And I was praying like that already for quite a few days, probably a week or so before, after the ordeal started and before Megan was admitted into the hospital, because we could tell something was serious. Even though we couldn't get it diagnosed, we knew something was serious, and it's tough to see your child in that situation and for it to go on and on and on, and it's not getting better and it's getting worse. Man, that is a tough thing. That's a wow. I'm sure a lot of people watching this kind of know how it feels like. Life gives us tough things. So anyhow, finding out that an MRI showed a mass, wow, that's very tough, shocking, painful. Found out a few hours later, got a message from my wife who was at the hospital with Megan. I was at home with the two younger girls. The mass is in the pituitary gland. So looking that up and seeing, okay, this is a pituitary tumor, maybe the least serious of brain tumors and easiest to treat. Very good prognosis. And so it kind of stabilized our emotions, and we then were looking forward to, okay, let's get this removed. Let's see what the neurologist says, and let's man, gosh, we hope that this is going to be something that can be taken care of, and easily taken care of, with a good chance of a full recovery, and get the eyes back to normal, Megan's health back to normal. But as the days went on, things just didn't get better. The news didn't get better. They did a biopsy, and the biopsy was a very long process. And then the tissue that they got from it was not what they expected. And now I misunderstood things. They were never talking about a pituitary tumor. It's a tumor in that region of the brain. It's called a suprasellar region. It's actually like right underneath the brain. That's where the pituitary gland is. That's where the optic nerves pass through. No one ever thought it was a pituitary tumor. I misunderstood that. It's a tumor in that area affecting the pituitary gland. No, the neurologist from the beginning was calling it a germinoma, not a pituitary tumor. That's a pediatric malignancy, a childhood malignancy, something that's kind of starts. I think it's part of the development of the embryo. It's, some of those original cells end up in the wrong place and can turn into something later in life. That's what a germinoma is. A germinoma in the suprasellar part of the brain, right underneath the brain. So the biopsy wasn't what they expected. Is not a normal germinoma. They took some days to get results from pathology, and those results were inconclusive. They sent the samples off to somewhere else, place in San Francisco, university. And anyhow, that was like a story kind of going along parallel with other things going on, the waiting for the final pathology results. Then oncology gets involved. Now that's a scary thing when oncology gets involved in a situation with your daughter. Again, the news just kept getting steadily worse and worse and worse. There was no turnaround. We're now, I'm telling, about 3 weeks into the ordeal from that first Sunday morning when Megan woke up with a headache and feeling weak. About 3 weeks into it now, the news is still getting worse and worse and worse. It's not the kind of easily treatable tumor that we had hoped it was. It's not what their neurologist expected to find. Pathology is not coming up back with a conclusive result. Oncology getting involved. Jumping ahead a bit, what this was a mixed germ cell tumor. That means it's not a pure germinoma. It's a germinoma with other types of malignancies mixed in, and this is something it's a rarer kind of germinoma. It's not, of the germinomas, it's a much more serious kind because of the different things that can go wrong with it, the different kinds of malignancies involved, which means it's more challenging to treat. That's what we're facing. That's what our daughter is being afflicted with. That's what the challenge that she's facing. So oncology got involved, and they started talking about chemotherapy. That's pretty tough to have that conversation with an oncologist, and he's describing the chemotherapy, and you just keep on realizing every step of the way, realizing that it's more and more serious than you had previously thought. Each step is a step down from the previous step, and the news keeps getting tougher and tougher and tougher. That was on a Wednesday, about 8 days by now after Megan had been admitted to the hospital. The following day, Thursday, they did a CT scan. The oncologist said, look, we're going to check the rest of her body, make sure that this thing hasn't spread anywhere. He said he didn't expect to find anything, but they do this as a routine check, just to be sure. They did a CT scan, and they found something in her abdomen. And oh my Lord, again, electric shock and ice water and mental anguish. Trying to keep going with life, taking care of things around the house with my work, taking care of our two very precious and deserving and younger daughters who were also have been so amazing all through this time, staying happy, staying emotionally strong, and me trying to give them a good, happy experience day to day as we're at home there. Trying to go through our routine with, reading stories, playing, going on outings, doing school, all the rest. And we're reading the Gospel of Mark every day. That was a really great experience, is a great experience. We're done with that now. I'm on to other chapters of the Bible with them. So that was our home life, and by that time, thankfully, my mother-in-law, my wife's mother, was with us, and such a big blessing to have her here. So getting that news, that's wow. I don't want to describe the kinds of thoughts you start having when you hear that kind of news, that it looks like this thing has spread and it's metastatic. That's horrible news. That's horrible, life-changing news. And wow. So they started chemotherapy that very evening. They said, look, we're just going to go ahead and start. We aren't going to wait any longer. they were going to start the next day, Friday, but when they found that, they started chemotherapy immediately. That went on for, I think, three evenings chemotherapy. She got through it all right. Those first 3 doses, making up the first round of chemotherapy. No allergic reaction, no bad reaction to it as they're applying it. And then, for the very first time in this whole ordeal, things started to turn. That Monday, they said she was regularly being checked by the ophthalmology department and kind of trying to measure how she was doing, how this tumor was affecting her, measuring a way of measuring that, seeing how her eyes were progressing or digressing. And that Monday, they noticed there was some improvement in her vision. Wow, that's great news. They did an MRI. They didn't get a very good MRI because poor Megan had a very hard time during the scan, but they got enough of an image to say it looked like the tumor had shrunk a little bit. Okay, some good news. Still, this huge weight of having found out that they found another mass in her abdomen, but started to hope that it could be wrong, that maybe there was nothing actually there, or whatever was there was just a benign thing, and they had it scheduled to do a biopsy that following day, that Tuesday. We found out the news about that mass on Thursday, and several days later, or that next Tuesday, they were going to do a biopsy. And that went on a long, long time, and I was wondering, what could that mean? Why is this going on for so long? It was a laparoscopic, so not very invasive, but Megan was out with anesthesia. They were installing what's called a port. It's a device for administering chemotherapy and doing blood work. And they were biopsying the mass. And it turned out that they couldn't find it. And oh my Lord, that's, talk about good news. They concluded there was nothing there, that either whatever had been there disappeared, or maybe there had never been anything there in the first place. And that's, again, you can't really describe, it's hard to describe that kind of feeling when you kind of get lifted up from the absolute depths of despair, of just anguish. So that was, let me look at the calendar, that was Tuesday the 16th when we heard that news, that supposed second mass wasn't there. There was nothing there. So about a full month after Megan's ordeal had begun with the what we thought were flu symptoms that Sunday morning, like we hit the very bottom of anguish and desperation, and I felt it was like a salvation moment. It's like Jesus himself saved us, and we could start seeing life again, and start seeing hope again, and start seeing a future again. And a lot of people were praying, and we're so thankful for that. I hope that's another parallel story in all this. Just all the prayers from so many people, and so much concern shown by people, so much love shown by people, so many people going out of their way to help us and to do things for Megan, to visit Megan, to cheer Megan up, to help me and the other two girls. So much love in action, so much, or living faith with works. We have been the recipients of a lot of that from such wonderful, dear, faithful friends who did a lot for us and are doing a lot for us and are giving a lot of themselves for us because they love us. And they'd probably say, oh, it's nothing. Of course I want to do this because I love Megan and Peter and Lori. But, giving costs and actions cost. And we're very, very appreciative of all that we've received from so many people in time, in effort, in money, in just being there for us in so many ways. So many really special people that we always knew. We knew we're special. Some of a lot of these people are our friends. We see them regularly and they're our friends. And then for them to really prove that with actions, again, like that faith with works, that love as a verb, love with through actions. It's like compassion, love doing things. That's really special to be on the receiving end of that. Anyhow, so that Tuesday was such a good day, and that's also the day that my mom showed up to help us. That was such a good day, getting that news and just feeling that salvation moment. A lot every day there's news, things happening, and Megan is doing well in a lot of ways. She, whenever she gets a good amount of time, when she's hasn't been under anesthesia, like her appetite, her strength, her attitude, all these things just come back fast, and she's so positive. She's told us that this experience is making her more concerned for other people and making her pray for other people more. And so many things that she's said and so many ways that she's behaved have just made me so thankful for her, so proud of her, and just so much I just keep telling the Lord, please save her, because she is such a wonderful person, and the world needs her. The world needs people like her, and I mean, we could probably say that about all all of our kids, all the children, all the people that generation. Lord, save them, all the people and all the children in that situation, like Megan, all those dear, dear, precious children. And we see them when we go to the hospital. We see other people like us, like our daughter, and Lord, save them all, save them all. They're the future, and this world needs them. And I'm just so impressed by my daughter. Always have been. I've learned so much from her, but just seeing her be so strong and so loving and so positive and so kind to her family, to her friends, to her sisters, in this really tough time. She's going through it. She is going through it. It's not. I'm not going to say, oh, it's been easy for her. Of course not. She's been going through it, but she has overcome her feelings on so many occasions to show love to others, and that is so impressive. Final pathology results came back, and we had another very long talk with the head oncologist, Dr. Jack Sue, someone we are so thankful for. Very good man, and we're very thankful that he's working with Megan. And the same goes for the other people working with Megan. There's endocrinology involved. I don't want to drag this out too long, but there's a lot going on with Megan's health, and a lot of really good people that we're so thankful for who are helping. So yeah, it's a tough kind of tumor. It's not the kind that has the best prognosis, but chances are good. I would say chances are good. he put the prognosis for Megan at 50 to 60% of a cure. Now that means what we're talking about here, not a 3-year cure, not a 5-year, not a 5-year remission or anything. No, the goal here is to eliminate this thing for good, so it's gone, never comes back. The plan is another 5 rounds of chemotherapy using 3 different drugs to target and eliminate the different parts of this tumor. That will be followed by surgery, and that will be followed by radiation therapy. So the whole ordeal that Megan's facing is about a 6-month ordeal from the time she did her first round of chemotherapy until, Lord willing, till 6 or so months after that. By June, July, this whole thing could be done as far as the treatment goes. We're just taking it a day at a time, as they say, and that's so true. That's such a true saying. And, I can finally say that I can see Megan's full recovery. I can see the end of this, not just by faith, but with my... I can imagine it happening now. Before, it was just a matter of faith. Faith being evidence of something you can't see. Like, faith just knowing something is going to happen without any other kind of evidence or feelings involved. By now, I'm very happy to say I actually am feeling it too. I can sense it. I can feel it, that yes, this can and will have a good ending. We are feeling good about the way things are going. We see Megan doing so well with her physical strength, her vision slowly coming back. There is such a long road ahead on so many fronts of Megan's health. Such a long road ahead, but we've had good news now for quite a few days. It's been steps forward and not backward, and I can't tell you, it's hard to describe just what that does for you when you're at the absolute bottom of your emotions, and you can't eat, you can't sleep normally, and it's just being awake is pain. To go from that to more than a week now of things going in the right direction. So that's where we are now. And again, thank you so much to everyone there's people who are praying that we're so thankful for, and there's people who are just getting involved in all kinds of ways, doing things for us, doing things for Megan. We're just so thankful for all of you, for everyone who's given us so much. We're so thankful for Megan's medical team and the wonderful people there who are helping her every day, the nursing staff, all the wonderful people at that hospital. And I'm going to leave it there. And I just keep thinking about so many verses from the Bible, so many scriptures, so many promises that just have been so important to us. And maybe the one I want to leave you with for this video is one I've been claiming from the day Megan went into the hospital, when I've been claiming where Jesus says that God so loved the world and he gave his only son, that whoever believes in him would not perish but have eternal life. And that's us. That's Megan. God loves us. God loves this world. God's saving it. And he's saving us.